I am an Ethiopian and I have something to say, and I have to say my piece on the issue of Nile. And I call it my Nile because it is Ethiopians' Nile. Since Ethiopia is the one, a country that provides 80% of the water, it's got every right to call it my Nile. And I would like to see the issue from three perspective, from three aspects. The first one is from a historical aspect of the issue about Nile, and the second one is from the security aspect of the issue, and the other one is from the economical aspect of the issue. First, from the historical aspect of the issue, Ethiopia should not, will not, and then could not recognize any deal that is made without her presence. So, Egypt shouldn't have to say that I have a historical right over the water, citing a colonial treaty which was done even before they have their independence. So Ethiopia, as a country, as a proud nation, as the only nation which never been colonized, influenced by foreign colonizers, will never recognize such kind of statements. So Egypt should have to stop saying that we have a historical right over Nile. So that's a done deal issue. And they shouldn't have to mention such kind of statement, which is foolish and illogical, irrational, and doesn't have any merits. If if there is a nation that should say that I have a historical right over the water is Ethiopia, since majority of the water comes out of Ethiopia. More than 80% of a Nile River comes from Ethiopia. So Ethiopia, they 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 could say that they have the historical right of the water since it comes from their country. But Ethiopia didn't say that because Ethiopians they are rational, they understand, and they should see things from a broader perspective, and they would say that we, as a nation, which provide 80% of the water, have the right to utilize this water without any interference, without any influence from any other nation, from any nation. That is our right. But we didn't just build this great Renaissance dam without considering other nations, other lower nations like Sudan and Egypt. We also put their concern when Ethiopia decided to build this great dam for the benefit of both nations. It might hurt them for a short period of time, but in a longer time, it will benefit all the nations. And the other thing from the historical perspective is that Ethiopians have seen a Nile River flowing in their mountains, plains, washing the fertile land, and then dumping it to Sudan and Egypt for centuries. Don't you think that we have the right to block this erosion by building a dam so that a clear water can flow to those states, Sudan and Egypt? So there is a part of this anger from Ethiopians watching Nile washing away their land, their fertile land throughout the centuries, and then now when we have when we have the capacity and the capability to build this dam with our own money, with our own uh, 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 um, effort, no one could have the right and the moral ground to stop us. And that is in connection with the history. The other thing is in connection with the security. Egypt has been using this Nile River for more than centuries. More than centuries. Centuries, 100 years. It's more than centuries. For the last millennia, like millennia or thousand years, they've been using this Nile River solely without any interference from other nations. But during those times, have they used their resources to allocate so that they can build other alternative of generating water? That is the question for the Egyptians. They've been using their resources that is gained from Nile to build their cities, to build their economy, and now all over the sudden, when Ethiopia tries to change their livelihood of the people, they are crying wolf now. And that is irrational and unacceptable. If there is someone to be blamed on a shortage of water in Egypt, is their own government, not Ethiopia, because during all those years, thousand years, when they were using the Nile River for their own purpose, 100%, they haven't divert some of their resources to build like desalination plants so that they can trap the water from the sea and then provide a clean water for their own people for their irrigation. Now all of the sudden when Ethiopia tried to change her economy by building this dam so that it can generate electricity, a much needed electricity for the country. Now all of a sudden they are crying, they are complaining, and that is again unacceptable. And Ethiopia shouldn't have to mind about this kind of tactics because if they have to blame, they have to blame their own nation. They have to at least divert some of the resources so that they cannot rely solely on a Nile River, knowing that Nile River is flowing into their country but doesn't originate from their country. So, as a smart person, as a smart nation, they should have to see these ahead and they should have to anticipate that Ethiopia will never stay as they are for longer time. The world is changing, countries are changing. So when the countries are changing, when they want to uplift the livelihood of the people, they will utilize their natural resources. And then by doing that, they can change the livelihood of their country, their country and the economy of their country and their people. But sitting idle by doing nothing, by not allocating their resources properly, now they might suffer a little bit. And that is the cost of being negligent and then not looking ahead, not seeing ahead. So that is the cost they are going to pay. Maybe they might lose maybe 5 or 10 or 15% of their arable lands. So that is the cost they are paying by neglecting the one thing that they need, which is water, and they relying on a water that flows into their country but doesn't originate from their own country. So that have a cost, and the cost they're gonna pay it in the near future. And if they have to blame, they have to blame their own government, not Ethiopia. When we look at to the economic aspect of Nile and the dam that is being built on it, the Great Renaissance Dam, this dam will be the largest in the continent and then the sixth largest in the world. It can generate more than around 6,000 megawatts, which is equivalent to six nuclear powered generating not hydro, but nuclear generating electric power plants. So uh, 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 these dams have a very crucial significance in changing the economy of Ethiopia. I am sure Egypt doesn't want their country people to read with candle and moonlight. So why should Ethiopians should have to read with a moonlight and a candle when they have the resources that they can use to generate electricity so that it can change the livelihood of their people, my people. So this hydroelectric power plant will change the economy of the Ethiopia and then will change the economy of the surrounding nations, even Egypt. By building the dam, it will also help the Sudanese from unwarranted and then unnecessary floods. It will also help the Egyptians so that no silt water will come to them. It only a clear water will flow to them, and then that will help Ethiopians at least controlling, not controlling in a sense, but utilizing a Nile River in equitable manner. No one will lose, no one will gain 100%, no one will lose 100%. But one thing I have to underline is that Ethiopia should not and would not and could not have to accept any influence on their activity, and should not accept not more than 5 years. If it is more than 5 years, what is the economic benefit of this dam? Ethiopia, Ethiopian people take out their money from their children to build this dam so that it can give them that benefit. They don't have to wait 12, 15, or 20 years to see the benefit of this river. So Ethiopia should not have to accept filling the dam more than 5 years. The maximum should have to be 5 years or less than that. And the other thing is that Egypt should have to stop, these threatening statements. They should have to stop these uncalculated, irrational, immoral behavior that they're going to attack Ethiopia. They have to remind themselves Ethiopia is a very proud nation. Ethiopian people are very proud and then very, 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 I can say, heroic people. They don't need technologically advanced armaments to win a war if they put it. So Ethiopia doesn't touch any nation unless they touch them. Ethiopia doesn't want to start any kind of war with any nation unless they start with hope. But if they start, they have to realize one thing, that when the dust settles, the Egyptians will start to south. So they have to understand that. They have to be rational. Ethiopia as a rational nation, as an understanding nation, discuss on the issues rationally, morally, so that this issue can be solved, so that it can benefit all the nations involved in this um, in these negotiations or in these talks. All right. And thank you for watching. And that's my piece. And then you can comment on the issue, or you can also lay out what you think of about Nile and the Great Renaissance Dam. Thank you. See you. Bye.